audience, wonderful to see you here. Welcome to my nightclub. Welcome to Maxim's. Hot jazz, cool drinks, shimmy and a hoochie coo. This is what I love to do. My formula is tried and true. I'm the Sultan of Jazz, Turkey's Emperor of Razzmatazz. I'm the Sultan of Jazz. What I've done nobody ever has. Mississippi, London, Paris, Moscow, Constantinople. The story I tell you seems wild, but really it's true. Well, it started in rags. Went from riches, then riches to rags. And now I'm on top again as the Sultan of Jazz. I used to be a farm boy, but now I'm a big tycoon. It's a tale no one else could ever dream up in a blue moon. It's a tale no one else could ever dream up in a blue moon. Thank you, thank you. Good evening. Bonsoir, ilaksham ya, buonasera, and dobry večer. Welcome to all my old friends, and welcome to all you visitors who arrived in our beautiful city today on the cruise ships from New York City. Just welcome all of you, and I'm just so wonderful and delighted that you came to my nightclub. We have a very special show planned for you because today is a very special day for me. Drum roll, please. It's my birthday. Thank you, and so I'd like to celebrate with you. And as always here at Maxim's, we have our lovely Russian waitresses, our famous Dame Serviers, and they are eager to serve you the exquisite cuisine of Chef Boris and the delicious cocktails of our gifted bartenders, Joseph and Mustafa. Now, are any of you surprised to see someone like me here? I mean, a black man who runs the hottest spot with the best music, cocktails, and latest dances in this ancient town. Well, you should be surprised because I've had quite a life. And in fact, the adventures I had in getting here sounds like somebody made them up. But actually, they're all true. And so because tonight is a very special night, let me be the first to share my story with you. And I'm going to begin with where I came from. I was born in the Delta, where the great Mississippi floods the land. I'm talking sweet gum trees, cotton and bayou, where the rich white man's powerful hand pushes to keep the black man down. You know, they don't like you getting too uppity and too ahead of yourself. It's the most southern place, the most southern place on earth. But I was born into freedom, but my pa and my mama, they'd been slaves. What a life under massa. They were honest, hard-working freedmen, proud and brave, taught me to fight and to hold my own. Yeah, mama and papa. It's the most southern place, the most southern place on earth. I want you to listen to this. Well, my folks, they were farmers back when cotton was king. They made good money, built a school, then a church, sure enough took care of their kin. Till a greedy and sinful white man decided to rob them and do them harm. Dickinson was a mess. In the most southern place, the most southern place on earth. Then my pa took that white man to court to make things right. They weren't scared. They weren't going to stand for that kind of injustice. They were true and righteous in their fight. And they stood proud and unbowed at the judge's stand. My pa is the most southern place, the most southern place on earth. It's the most southern place, the most southern place on earth. Yes, the Delta was quite a place. Quite a place. It was where the South was really the South. Where all that was bad was well, and all that was good was good. And I dare say not much has changed there to this day, judging by what I read in the papers. But that's where I was born, on November 4th, 1872, in Coahoma County, Mississippi, 54 years ago. Hard to believe. You know, that rich white farmer almost succeeded in stealing our farm. That is before my pa and my mama took him to court. And what's even more amazing is that they won their lawsuit in the Coahoma County Courthouse. Now, what a scandal that caused. Now, I tell you, that white planter, he almost had a stroke. But he soon recovered. And when he did, we had to get out of harm's way because he appealed all the way up to the Mississippi Supreme Court. And in those days, Memphis and Mississippi was the lynchingest state in the USA. So we moved up north for a minute, and things were okay for a while until my pa was murdered in Memphis. It was a bad time. Bad time. But enough about that. You know, not all dark clouds have silver linings, but some really dark ones actually do. Now, after my pa died, I left the South and I never looked back. Going off is nothing I'd imagined I'd do. Being black and Dixie made the thought a taboo. But I knew going north was the only way to show what I was worth. Leaving Dixie, I thought I'd be free of Jim Crow. But it seems he'll follow me wherever I go. Going north, it's Chicago, Illinois for me. Will I really be free to follow every road I see? I must find a trade that my folks would have praised. I will rise as high as my wings will lift me up to fly. Wonderful skyscrapers and beautiful restaurants, I'd like a job in them all. In Chicago I could see Jim Crow was alive, but I still found work there that allowed me to thrive. So it seemed going north was the only way to prove what I was worth. I became a braider and served night and day in a job that let me see the white folks sashay. Be it north or the east, I'll be learning lots of cash for me. Oh, I wish that I had a chance to go where I could try to aim really high, all the way to Versailles, even to Shanghai. Why not find a ticket I could buy? Wonderful dreams I have and beautiful plans I make. Brooklyn is where I will fly. Just before I left Chicago, I went to the Columbian Exposition, that great American World's Fair that opened in 1893. And what a sight it was. They called it the White City, which was fitting, as you can well imagine. When I got to Brooklyn, I got what jobs I could, or those I were allowed to have. And that's where I started work as a head bellman at a fancy hotel and as a valet for a rich white man. And boy, did I ever get good at acting those parts. Running and fetching, shucking and jiving. But after a while, I had had enough of life in New York. And I loved to sing even then. So I took lessons from a kind German gentleman who lived in Manhattan. And he's the one who told me that I should go to Europe. Because in Europe, black folks were treated like regular folks. Now, of course, I didn't believe him at first. But after I got wind that colored folks were actually heading that way, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. Now that was a real big step for me. Because you see, in those days, lots of immigrants were coming from the United States, from Europe, and the rest of the world because they wanted a better life for themselves. But I had to go in the opposite direction and leave my native country to look for opportunity. Now, my parents had been very successful in America, but they lost almost everything they had. And I knew if I stayed in these United States of America, I would get nowhere real fast. Brooklyn, woo! Brooklyn was the last place I'd lived before that, you know, I found out I just couldn't take it anymore. And here's the reason. Jim Crow, white folks, they all made my life into something vile. So I left on a ship for the British Isles. Simply being a man, free to become what I can. Strolling down the street, nobody stares. If you're black or white, nobody cares. Simply being a man, feeling debonair. Simply being a man. Now, Europe soon became my favorite place to be. You know why that is? There were pretty shop girls looking longingly at me. Now, Desdemona and Othello would surely agree. If you're black and she's white, you can certainly love her in Paris. Simply being a man, free to become what I can, strolling down the Rue de Rivoli, living like nobody could foresee. Simply being a man, feeling debonair. Simply being a man. Monte Carlo was the sweetest place I'd see. Rich folks love to flock there, even kings and queens. I could parlez-vous with them in the grandest style. Oui, monsieur. No, madame, I would say and smile. Simply being a man, free to become what I can. Monaco had nobles everywhere. Even Russian princes loved its flair. Simply being a man, feeling debonair, simply being a man. Now, what an amazing new feeling it was when I landed in England. It was like climbing out of the dark hold of a ship onto the deck with the sun shining bright. But to be absolutely honest, there were some people in Europe, London, and Paris who didn't like seeing a black man hobnobbing with whites. Now, do you know who these folks were? They were tourists from the United States. And yes, they were white. And it seems like some of them brought their, shall we say, attitudes with them in their luggage. But we're not going to hold that against them now, and certainly not here. Now, when I got in Europe, I went everywhere. I liked the people, and I liked the work, especially the ladies. And they sure like me. It was in Monaco that my fortune really changed. That's where a Grand Duke, a fancy kind of Russian nobleman, asked me to work for him, said I brought him luck at the casino. And I saw Russian ladies and gentlemen in Europe. I was eager to see the land of the czars. And you know what I had discovered? Russia was the most welcoming place I had ever lived in, besides Constantinople, of course. I lived in Moscow more than I lived anywhere in my entire life, except for my family's home back in Kahoma. Russians are like black folks in their hearts. They embrace me simply as a man. They made me understand I was free in what became my promised land. Russians never embraced me in my heart. They embraced me simply as a man. They made me understand I was free in what became my promised land. Before Russia gave me a home, I had wandered on the road of life alone. And the women who became my wives and lovers let me see that Russia was the perfect place for me. The songs Russians sing fill my heart. I adore the joy these melodies impart. You hear them and your troubles disappear. Oh, Mother Russia, I hold you dear. No one ever called me hateful names like the sons of Abraham endured. My success was assured. The labors of my reward was secure. Well-heeled patrons flocked to see my show. Blissful smiling faces all aglow. They made me understand. Life had shown me now I had a Russian soul. I'm now rushing down to my name. Call me Schroeder and not Frederick in my fame. I belong here and I don't intend to ever go back home. Kahoma and its past I now disown. The songs I now sing fill my heart. I adore the joy these melodies impart. You hear them and your troubles disappear. Oh, Mother Russia, I hold you dear. You know what else makes Moscow dear to my heart? It's where I met and married my lovely wife, Elvira. She was, is, and will always be the love of my life. That I would love again. Passion's embrace I search for always in vain. Then I got a second chance. Fate brought you to me. Elvira, my love, you are my wondrous dream, my joy, my desire. Your kisses make me feel like I'm on fire. Elvira, I love your lingering embrace, the silk I unlace. I love to touch the velvet of your face. I long to hear you sigh my name when we make love again. Elvira, my love, you are my wondrous dream. Your love allows me to be truly free. When I first saw you, I felt I was reborn. When I felt your touch, I knew my feelings were true. I grew wings and felt I flew into skies of blue. Elvira, my love, I thank the stars above. My passion, my fire, your kisses make me tremble with desire. Elvira, my love, your golden hair's bright glow, your skin white as snow, your lovely gentle warmth my heart to steal. I love to feel your lips on mine and share your love divine. Elvira, my love, you are my wondrous dream, Your love allows me to be truly free. No matter what a man does, history has its own ideas about how things should go. Now, my personal life in Moscow kept getting better. I had 5 lovely children, property, and friends. Now, you must have heard of one of my best friends, mean, jumping, punching Jack Johnson. That black famous boxer who became the world heavyweight champion in 1908. Now, I was able to help him when he got into a jam in Chicago, and I brought him here to Russia to put on boxing expositions. But the country that I adopted and adopted me back wasn't going well at all. The Great War of 1914 was the beginning of the end of old Russia. The Tsar's government was tyrannical and corrupt, and it didn't know what it was doing much of the time. It couldn't run the country or the war. Poor Russian soldiers sent to fight without enough guns or ammunition, food and fuel shortages all over the country, demonstrations and strikes by workers. It was so sad to see old Russia just falling apart. All the glories I have known in this Russian land I call my home, fading right before my eyes. Oh, how can I survive? It was Moscow that let me lead a life I never dreamed I'd see. Fortune, family, friends, and fame, my life shine like a flame. Then war and strife tore the land like a cruel avenging hand, seizing command. I feared that I was damned. All the glories of the past, this Russian land I still adore, where I lived, loved, and lost, soon will be no more. I loved was brushed aside. Hope and promise quickly died away. Riches turned into debris. The bloodshed made me flee. All the glories of the past, this Russian land I still adore, will for everyone be lost. Fate promised nothing more. Just when I thought I was free, I was forced again to flee over the sea. What will become of me? All the riches I possess in this Moscow life that is no more. But whatever the cost, I will strive to restore. I will strive to restore. I will strive to restore no one who survived the Russian Revolution will ever get over what they went through. I won't. You know, most people forget that there were actually two revolutions. The first one came in March of 1917 and was thrilling. That's when the Tsar gave up his throne and the whole country came alive with hope and happiness. I never seen people rejoicing in the street like that. There hadn't been any freedom or equality for most Russians under the Tsar. And now, both, seen within everyone's grasp. But it wasn't meant to be. The government that took over after the Tsar had gone had noble ideas, but couldn't run the country either. And that's when the Bolsheviks struck in November of 1917. They didn't care about freedom or equality, but they pretended that they did. There weren't many of them, but they were fanatical, and all they wanted was power for themselves. So they seized it at gunpoint. And anybody who had been important, had money or status, became their class enemy, including me, a black man from Jim Crow America, one of the oppressed. If I hadn't escaped from Odessa to Moscow in 1918, the Bolsheviks would have killed me. By hiding in a French train compartment, I managed to escape with some very close friends of mine. And what I went through, you would scarcely believe. But after all of that, less than a year later, I had to escape from the Bolsheviks a second time as they got close to Odessa. Now, Odessa was a really chaotic and dangerous place then. Crime was everywhere. It was hard to find food, and diseases were breaking out. But I left with my family and managed to get out on the last ship. And man, was that a rough voyage. Hardly any food or water, brutal guards, filth everywhere, people crammed in so tight a child couldn't lay down. I lost everything when I escaped from Russia. My theaters, property, money. And when I landed in Constantinople in 1919, I had only $25 to my name. But ladies and gentlemen, as soon as I set foot on Constantinople soil, I decided I liked this town. It reminded me of Moscow a bit, the way it bridged the East and the West. And that's where I decided I'm gonna start from zero. I wasn't about to quit now. I figured I had overcome a far bigger obstacle than the black free to give up now. And I remember swearing to my dear wife Elvira, I would conquer the Constantinople Knights or die trying. I've been through every school of hard knocks. The Reds attacked me, they stole my money, and they had me on their damn chopping block. Bad times behind, danger ahead. Good thing I learned to fight from the best. Jack Johnson taught me to keep my guard up and to punch real hard and fast without rest. Champions know how to win every test. You can't knock me down. I'll put up a fight and I'll win. I'll throw a good punch, fight a good fight. Can't knock me down. Champion Jack was my friend. Win all his fights, that's what I do. I win when I fight. Can't knock me down. I've been through every kind of bad scrape. In Moscow, Bolsheviks robbed and tortured. Odessa was a dangerous place. Robbing by day, thieving leaving at night. A leaky steamer got me away. I lost my wealth and abandoned Russia, and longed where the others had lost. No one in all, I will win at all costs. You can knock me down. I'll put up a fight and I'll win. I'll throw a good punch, fight a good fight. Can't knock me down. Champion Jack was my friend. Win all his fights, that's what I do. Win when I fight. Can't knock me down. Can't knock me down. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, I succeeded. Constantinople overcame those challenges where it would have crushed someone else. It almost crushed me. You know, to start my first business, I had to borrow money. You know how much the money lenders charged me? 100% for just 6 months. Now, can you believe that? But I managed. And I tell you another thing, and I'll be completely frank and honest with you. The American General Consulate proved to be somewhat, how could I put it, reluctant to help me when I needed it most. Seems like they had a problem with my heritage, but I managed on my own. And I became very successful again. And you know what makes that possible? It's beautiful people like you in Constantinople who appreciate the kind of entertainment and fine dining I know how to provide. People who appreciate my maxims. So I hope that we will have more wonderful nights like this. As Turkey is moving on and heading in a different direction, there are new laws, new government, and there are new attitudes toward people like me who weren't born there. So I hope that Russia will be remembered, and I hope that Turkey won't throw me overboard as it's moving forward with its new ways. But that's history, right? And there's nothing we can do about it. All one can do is hope for the best and rely on Providence when he can. So I'm going to hope for the best for all of us. All my life I fought to win the great game of life that we are in. To find love, wealth and fame was my aim. Fortune often smiled on me. Freedom was the key and my guarantee, but fate had plans that I could not foresee. I feel the earth is moving under my feet, spelling defeat. I won't yield to defeat. I feel the earth is moving. It's hard to stand on shifting sands to find strength like a man. Dark clouds threaten all that's mine. Is this by divine design? I feel the earth is moving under my feet. I won't retreat. I I won't yield to defeat. I feel the earth is moving. Done all I could. Won't do me no good to look back where I stood. You strive to do all that you can, and you find you're dealt a losing hand. I feel the earth is moving under my feet. I won't retreat. I won't yield to defeat. I will fight to the end. I will triumph again. I've got my faith. I've got my rock and my shield. Zion lies ahead, the promised land where justice reigns and shadows all change. We'll pull down bigotry's wall, raise a new town on the hill, answer God's call and do His will.
Mercedes Ellington and Vladimir Alessandro. Sybil Alessandro.
Ellen wants to know if you guys have any questions. We have the author here. I don't know if you have any choreography questions or corrections. But anything that you're curious about, because Vladimir has, I mean, it was very difficult to choose exactly what he wanted to bring up about this character and about the period. And it's a very rich period, full of history that you would, you know, maybe be interested in. And the thing is also the timeline of what was happening in the rest of the world at this time. So Vladimir.
No, the first thing I want to do is thank the people who made this possible.
Yeah.
We have to give a big round to Tyrone Roberson for his phenomenal performance.
Thank you. Thank you.
To Ethan Fine, the composer of Genius, and the band. The musicians, of course.
Lawrence Feldman on saxophone and clarinet. Ken Rizzo, bass. And Ashley Bear on drums. I'm going to get another mic for us.
Ethan Fine on banjo and balalaika.
And we're not done because Mercedes Ellington directed this beautifully. Thank you very much. And I would like to take credit for all of this myself, but my wife is here, and she gets half of it. So to Sybil. Thank you. And of course the Moscow 57. Where else in New York? can this happen? With Ellen, Seth, and Ethan in his second capacity as an owner. Okay. Now we've got everything done. If anybody has any questions, we welcome those. If you have criticism, let's just keep it down.
Elvira, his wife, was she Russian or what?
That's an interesting story. Elvira is actually German. There were lots of German performers in Russia just before the First World War started in the summer of 1914. But it was very impolitic for somebody to admit that they had a German spouse. So Frederick always described her as Swedish. But she was actually German and came from a theatrical family in Berlin.
There's a question over here, yes.
Sorry? His end was tragic because of the fact that he overextended himself in Constantinople and because the Americans in the Consulate General were racists. They wouldn't support him when he needed help. So things went in a complicated way for him in the 1920s. By 1927, he was broke. He was imprisoned in a debtor's prison, and he died in 1928 in Constantinople. He was buried in a pauper's grave in a Catholic cemetery because they extended charity toward him. And so even the location of his grave in that cemetery is not known. But at least we know where in Constantinople, Istanbul it is.
I have a question over here. How did you discover this story?
It was one of these accidents that can change your life. I was reading something related to something else, and I came across a sentence which said, and then I began to perform for our famous Moscow Negro Fyodor Fyodorovich Thomas. This was a Russian singer describing what he did when he landed in Constantinople in 1920. And this so intrigued me that I started digging, and I dug for a long time in a half dozen countries, and I was lucky to find stuff about him.
Over here?
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to his children?
Yeah, it's not a very happy story on the whole, but he does have some descendants who live in Paris. Grandson. Oh, thanks. Can you hear me? A grandson and a granddaughter live in Paris. And actually, after my book came out, I started getting emails from people in all kinds of corners of the world. Places like Abu Dhabi, Luxembourg, Australia, France as well. People who were in distant ways related to his children. And so I've even gotten photographs from distant family members in Russia that I had never seen before, that they had had sitting around in shoeboxes for years, and that they sent me because they heard about the book. So on the whole, the legacy of the family was not a very happy one, but some of the descendants did survive and are thriving to this day.
Question, what was the process of transforming this into musical form like?
Well, you take the book, you chop it up into pieces, put it into a bag, shake it up, and toss it out. Right, Sybil?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, actually what it was, and this is an amusing detail that I like telling people about, when Moscow 57 suggested that this might be worth converting into a musical version, we started, Ethan and I, and Sybil was on the side in those days. Ethan would compose music of a sort that seemed appropriate. I would take my first stab at writing lyrics, and then I started showing them to Sybil. And Sybil would look at a couple of lines that I had written, and she would say, "Well, that's stupid." And I said, swallowing my pride, "Well, dear, what would you suggest?" And she would suggest something, and I would discover that, yes, that's actually better than what I came up with. And so that's how it evolved. But the idea was to do musical snapshots of this remarkable man's life in musical styles that reflected where he was at what time he was, with certain liberties. You know, Can't Knock Me Down is more a rock song than anything else.
And we couldn't have done it without Ethan.
No, Ethan was able to compose music in various styles in exactly the right kind of mood to suggest what we were trying to suggest in various scenes. So without Ethan, of course, this would have been nowhere. So another round for Ethan.
And also another round for Ethan because he's playing 3 things up here: banjo, balalaika, guitar. He's a
balalaika is what I want.
Oh, no. No, I'm not selling that balalaika.
Oh.
I brought that balalaika from Russia when I was there with the Duke Ellington Orchestra in 1972. And that was one of 5 that I brought. So when Ethan found out that I had it, he had it restrung. And there it is.
So is the musical complete? Or is it just the preview?
Never complete.
No, this is a one-man version.
Okay.
And our idea is that if the stars align, we will try to develop it into a full-blown musical with actors and more music. But I think in the current form, sorry?
Dancing.
And dancing,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because Frederick Thomas was an entrepreneur in the sense of having theaters and nightclubs where people would dance. And so it would be terrific to work into some of the periods of his life the kind of dancing that was one of the great draws of his entertainment business. So it is complete and it is not complete. Yeah, Michael.
You have a star right there.
Yeah, Tyrone. That's it.
Well done.
Thanks, Ellen. It was great.
Really good.
Yeah, it worked out well. Yeah.